This video is a walkthrough of the American Indian Student Achievement, or AISA, dashboard on Montana's statewide longitudinal data system, GEMS, the growth and enhancement of Montana students. For a more general tutorial of navigating and using the GEMS interactive dashboards, watch the GEMS dashboard navigation video first in our playlist. This video covers more specific features of the AISA dashboard. The American Indian Student Achievement Unit is fully committed to closing the opportunity gap that exists between American Indian students and their non-native peers. This dashboard plays an important role in presenting American Indian student participation, achievement, and completion data in Montana, while simultaneously illuminating differences in experience compared to their non-native peers. The 5 pages of the AISA dashboard highlight differences in school experience between American Indian students and their non-native peers. The landing page, or the first page of the dashboard, is an interactive map page. Second is an overview page, which highlights differences in enrollment, attendance, and behavior events between these two student groups. The third page compares graduation and college and career readiness data. The fourth on assessment data, and the 5th page takes a look at mobility trends between these two student groups. It is important to note that the comparison between native and non-native students is unique on this dashboard from all others on GEMS. Navigating to the important note on Race Ethnicity tab at the bottom of the dashboard environment will provide more information on the use of this race ethnicity data. The AISA dashboard is the only dashboard that combines the race ethnicity groups of American Indian Alaska Native with multiracial to create a category for Native students collectively. Let's begin this dashboard dive with the interactive map page. This density map on the AISA dashboard is used to highlight American Indian student counts by unique school systems across the state of Montana. By hovering over one of the school systems highlighted on the map, more details about those student counts will populate, including counts of students who identify as American Indian and those who identify as non-native. In addition, counts for the number of schools on reservation and off reservation will also populate for that school system. To view these student counts over time, right-click, scroll down to drill through and hover, then select Student Counts over time. Longitudinal student counts by race are provided for the selected school system. The year range can be adjusted by moving the slider or by manually entering the dates of interest. You can also adjust the location status by viewing all schools in the school system, by looking at only those schools that are off reservation, or by looking at only those schools that are on reservation. Returning to the map page of the dashboard, let's now navigate to the overview page. To examine the details of each of these visualizations, we'll utilize focus mode. Hovering over any visualization will populate 2 icons in the upper right-hand corner. The first is focus mode. Selecting this icon will bring that visualization to an enlarged platform so it's easier to read. The enrollment count graph on the overview page first breaks students out by race, where the yellow bars represent Native students and the blue for non-Native students. Additionally, students are then clustered into 4 different categories. The first being schools whose American Indian student population is between 0 to 24%. The second category is for schools with 25 to 49% American Indian student population. The third for those schools with 50 to 74% of an American Indian student population. And the fourth for schools with 75 to 100% American Indian student population. The enrollment count slider aligned with the y-axis of the graph allows you to zoom in on student counts that may be difficult to read depending on the range of schools you've selected to view. Navigating back to the overview page, let's next take a look at the graph for attendance rates. This graph provides attendance rates between these two student subgroups, native and non-native, for the selected school year. Navigating back to the overview page, we'll take a look at the last visualization for behavior events. Similar to the other two visualizations on the overview page, students are broken into race categories, native and non-native, where native students are the yellow bars and non-native students are the blue bars. These bars are for the counts of out-of-school suspensions and expulsions over time. In addition, there's also line graph data layered on top of the count of behavior events. The orange line represents the total percent of American Indian students. The blue line represents the percent of behavior events for American Indian students. To examine this data for one specific school year for on and off reservation differences, we can use the drill down feature of the map. Selecting the single downward pointing arrow will turn the drill down features on. Then select the school year of interest, and this data provided by on and off reservation will populate. You can drill back up in the data by using the upward pointing arrow. Navigating back to the overview page of the dashboard, let's next navigate to the graduation and college and career readiness page. The visualizations on this page continue to provide comparisons between these two student groups. The first visualization provides the 4-year cohort graduation rates longitudinally over time, side by side for these two student groups, where the blue bars are for American Indian students and the yellow are for their non-native peers. In comparison, the two visualizations at the bottom of the page are structured in the same way. However, the visualization on the left provides for native students, and the visualization on the right provides for non-native students. In this way, comparison is between these two visualizations rather than stacked side by side. Both of these graphs provide counts of students in regards to their college and career readiness score on the ACT assessment. The blue bar represents students who are scoring at or above the college readiness score, and yellow for those students who are scoring below. Like other pages of the GEMS interactive dashboards, the visualizations on this page are interactive. I could select the most recent school year to highlight this data on the other visualizations as well. Here I can compare non-native to American Indian students in terms of their college readiness scores, as well as compare the graduation rates for both of these student groups. Filters can also be applied to these pages for more specificity in your data search. Using the slicer menu, let's say, for example, we wanted to take a look at this data for a specific school location. Options are to view by district or by county. I can scroll through to find the county I'm looking for, or I can use the search feature to narrow my search for me. Expanding one of these options will provide the districts within. You may notice that as you apply filters to the data, that some student counts will get quite small. To take a look at these counts a little better, we can turn any visualization into a table. Hovering over the visualization, select the second icon which populates, an ellipses for more options. Then choose Show as Table, and the same bar graph as well as a table version of the graph will populate. Any data entry that is replaced with an asterisk is to denote that it's masked. This is to protect student identity. Any student count that's less than 5 is hidden from public view. To clear a selection made in the slicer menu, you can simply select the eraser icon that populates at the top of the filter dropdown. Navigating next to the assessment page. Just like the other assessment dashboards on GEMS, students in Montana did not take the SBAC or the ACT assessment during the school year of 2019-2020 due to the COVID pandemic. In this way, you'll see no data populate for this school year. Data is provided for 3 different kinds of assessment on this page. The first is the Math and ELA assessment given to students in grades 3 through 8. Second is the CRT Science assessment. And last is the ACT assessment, which is given to students in their junior year of high school. Based on the test that you have selected, There'll be other options for which you can narrow your search. For this example, let's select to choose the Math and ELA assessment. We're going to look specifically at students in the 3rd grade. We're going to change the content area from Math to ELA, and all assessment types will be considered. Both graphs provide the proficiency levels for the specific students and content area of the assessment selected. Blue is for students who test at advanced levels, green for students who are at proficient, yellow for those students who are nearing proficiency, and red for those students who are testing at novice. The two different graphs provide the same data, but for two different locations of students. The graph on the right is for students who are on reservation, and the graph on the left is for students who are not on reservation. Specific school location can be used by selecting the location filter in the slicer menu. Hovering over either of these visualizations will provide the same tools to drill down on the data as we explored earlier. Selecting the downward pointing arrow, you can then select the school year of interest. This will provide breakout for students who identify as American Indian and for those students who identify as non-native. Drilling back up, you can also choose to drill down on all years provided in the graph simultaneously. Select the webbed arrow icon to expand all down one level in the hierarchy. Now, proficiency levels are provided for each school year, broken out by students who identify as native and those students who identify as non-native, side by side. Lastly, navigate to the mobility page of the AISA dashboard. All 4 visualizations on this page are donut graphs used to compare proportions of students and their trends of mobility. The 2 donut graphs on the top of the page provide number of enrollments for students in the selected school year. The graph on the left provides those counts of enrollments for American Indian students, and the graph on the right provides counts for non-native students. For example, we can compare that in the 2020-2021 school year, about 25% of American Indian students in Montana enrolled in 2 schools. In comparison, about 10% of non-native students enrolled in 2 schools. The 2 donut graphs on the bottom of this page provide the number of total systems attended in the past 3 school years. The graph on the left provides those counts for American Indian students, and likewise, the graph on the right provides for non-native students. In this way, we can compare that in the last 3 most recent school years, about 30.8% of American Indian students attended 2 systems. In comparison, about 17.3% of non-native students attended 2 systems. The Data Definitions and Explanations tab at the bottom of the dashboard environment can be used to learn more about a data element used on a page that you want to know more about. For example, if you wanted a better understanding of the difference between number of enrollments and number of systems attended, you'd first navigate to this tab. Make sure that you're on the same page as the dashboard. In this case, we'll navigate to the mobility page. And then here, you can explore definitions both for number of enrollments and for the number of systems attended. You now know how to navigate the AISA dashboard. You have a basic understanding of what data are contained, and you know how to utilize the Data and Definitions page to explore any concept or data you want to know more about. With these skills, tools, and knowledge, you should be able to confidently start exploring American Indian student achievement in Montana. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the GEMS Help Desk.